All right, everybody, welcome back here in this insane Slayer journey. We've been taking this freaking heavy as hell Slayer journey. We've been taking. We've made it through all the way to that huge run that we've discussed from Show No Mercy all the way to Seasons in the Abyss, and things kind of took a turn after that as far as like the commercial success of Slayer during the '90s, like the mid '90s here, which of course Seasons in the Abyss came out in 1990, and that was just peak stuff for them. Them in their prime time still. But Dave Lombardo ends up leaving the band. Unfortunately, I guess they just had some differences. Wherever I've not looked a lot into the reasons why Dave left or anything, but and at the time, I'm sure many fans were pretty upset about it because I mean, look at the freaking track record Dave's got on all this almost a decade of records. But in 1994, the guys released this thing right here, Divine Intervention, with the new drummer Paul Bostaph, who apparently was from the band Forbidden, which I've actually not even listened to an album by them yet, but it's definitely on the hit list now. Because I've heard of that band. I didn't know he played in it until I was just kind of looking into more of his stuff. Other stuff he's been on and everything. He's played in Testament later on in the years. I think on like a live album or something. Then he's played in Exodus on one of their later albums. So he's done a lot of stuff. But his main thing right here is joining Slayer for this album Divine Intervention, which of course it's Slayer. I got to show off that album art, just freaking nuts. And I tell you guys, this is a pickup I made recently. I ordered it off Discogs, and it is easily one of the rarest in my collection now. I'm talking it. I almost just resorted, because this was one of the Slayer albums I didn't have, and I almost resorted to just being like, okay, I'll just get the CD until I found a great deal on this thing. The original, very original press here, and I'm gonna have to pull this out anyways because it doesn't have the track listing on the back. But and what's really cool, because colored vinyl was not a very big thing. It was still really new in the '90s and everything. I know it's a big thing now that with the represses and everything. Which again, I don't really do those. Cool if you do, but just not my thing. I go for original presses, original releases and everything. But this was actually had colored vinyl, which was really freaking cool. As you can see here, it's got the crazy looking Slayer carved in this dude's arm, like a blood red color. Just such an incredible deal I got on this thing, and easily one of the rarest in my collection. I was just super stoked to be able to actually get this on vinyl. I've always wanted it, but every time I'd be searching for it, other times it would be, of course, just really, really high price. But man, it's a snag a deal on it here. But yeah, so I'm gonna just keep the record out here because it's again no track listing on the back. But which it is. I do like the back cover. It's got like a bunch of news clips and stuff about like people blaming music for crimes and things of that nature. So just kind of interesting and everything. But anyways, yeah, Paul Bostaph. We kick off this new lineup. This build, and this is going to be the set lineup too for a long time now because the Slayer didn't really go through a lot of lineup changes over the years. This was the big major one they went through. But anyways, we kick off Divine Intervention with the just kick your ass track opener, Killing Fields, and it immediately you get a taste of Paul Bostaph's drumming, and it's like you get a death metal drummer, with those ultra fast blast beats, which Dave is great at too. But call me crazy, it's gonna be controversial. I think Paul Bostaph is. I like him as a drummer better. I do. I think I love his tone more. I think his playing just stands out more in albums. And this album right here, I mean, I'll just never forget. First time I heard this, of course, I'd heard a bunch of the other Slayer albums. And then the first time I ever heard this, I was just like, oh my god, whoa, this dude ain't playing around. I mean, he had some big shoes to fill, and right off the bat with Killing Fields, you get just him rumbling through, and it's just so damn fast, kind of offbeat time signatures. And again, no discredit to Dave. So I mean, if that upsets anybody, whatever. I mean, it's all opinions here, and I totally get where people would think Dave that they prefer Dave, and you guys have seen how much I love Dave Lombardo, so no, not trying to take any credit away from him, but Paul Bostaph, he just he does it for me. But yeah, Killing Fields, we get these offbeat time signatures and everything, and just this really really cool kind of twisted minor chord opening, riff opening until it just kind of gets into this grind thing with still some more odd time signatures. And, then Tom Araya comes in more pissed off sounding than almost ever. The feeling when I try to take control. It's just, this is a very pissed off sounding Slayer. And I guess that was just, there was quite a bit, 4 years in between albums. These guys were, in the 80s pumping out these things like crazy year after year, or every other year. So they had some time to sit there and stew on the band, and they were touring a little bit between there for seasons and season in the Abyss and everything. But this is just such a vicious record, and Killing Fields kicks it off incredibly. One of my favorites off here, big time. Then we hop right on into a really, really fast one. We go with Sex, Murder, Art. That is just, they're like, hey, guess what? We're amping things up. Possibly, if not the same amount of fast as some stuff off Rain and Blood and Hell Awaits, even faster, because Paul Bostaph is just going freaking nuts with these blast beats on the drums. And Sex, Murder, Art also shows that, because Killing Fields is fast and everything, but it is more kind of that kind of the Seasons of the Abyss, South of Heaven style melodies in the verses, even though it is a kind of faster song. But Sex, Murder, Art is just straight up pure speed, to the bone, badass Slayer. So Sex, Murder, Art, another incredible song. Then we go into a Fictional Reality. Oh my God, man. This is one that, again, just kind of keeps in that same style of Seasons and South of Heaven, the more melodic, yes, really heavy stuff. And it does it more so than I think any of the tracks do off this album. And I love, love, love the melody of this one. It'll just get in your head, Fictional Reality. It's just really, really cool stuff. Of course, riddled with awesome time changes and everything. But just another massive freaking highlight on this album. Then we get to Ditto Head, probably the fastest, most heaviest freaking track off here. Just immediate, just take off. It's like a freaking rocket launching, and you're just at full speed ahead. One of my favorites off here. And then out of nowhere, you get kind of just this chuggy riff breakdown that I'm such a big fan of. Huge standout on this album. And and just the way Tom is just blasting through, keeping up with Paul Bostaff's insanely fast drumming to kind of, and again, I think Paul may be a faster drummer than Dave. That's kind of up to, how you hear it or whatever. I don't know. But to me, it sounds like he's faster than him, and that just calls the whole band, let's speed it up. And Ditto Head definitely shows them doing that. So, love that track. Let me close it out with kind of one of the, I believe, the lengthiest one on here at 5 minutes, 32 seconds. Divine Intervention, the title track. And man, oh my God. This track is just like a evil sounding stuff. It kind of follows the same kind of formula of a song like, like kind of a South of Heaven type vibe, kind of a, maybe a Dead Skin Mask type vibe, kind of starting off with, well, really, no, this didn't even start off with the clean stuff, though. This kind of, I take that back. This has kind of its own structure to it that's just really cool and stand out in their entire discography to me. It's got, kind of starts off with just kind of a chuggy riff, again with some really odd sounding minor chords, and odd in a good way. And then you get kind of like a faster, kind of build up piece, and the drums are kind of going along, and the guitar almost sounds offbeat. Then the drums kind of going at a regular beat, which is really cool and different sounding. Then you get kind of these clean tones, and bam, you jump into Tom Araya yelling at the top of his lungs, I cannot look at God's face. It just some freaking, love this song. If you've maybe ever were one of the people that, again, I don't know anybody who's stopped after Lombardo left the band, which of course he later comes back along later on. But if you maybe did stop there, at least if you're not going to listen to the whole album, which I suggest, listen to that song, Divine Intervention. It's just a freaking masterpiece of a track right there. Love, love, love this one. Then we flip it on over to the other side with Circle of Beliefs, another really, really cool one, a faster paced one to kind of pick things back up after the, the lengthier track in the title track. And I love this one. Some really cool and lyrics in this one, in Circle of Beliefs. Then we go with SS3, one of the best riffs off this album. I don't really know what the SS3 is trying to, stand for here or whatever. Don't matter to me because the riff is one of my favorite riffs off here. And one of my favorite, Kerry King, Jeff Hanneman riffs. I'm not really sure who's exactly wrote that particular riff or anything, but it's just, man, it's really like a chunky riff to it, and you just kind of feel the power with each strum on those chords. So, and then of course it's got a really cool chorus to it, as well. So SS3, a big highlight off here for me, and so is Serenity and Murder. Man, this one's different too. It's got like a really kind of a wicked vibe with these kind of cleaner parts, and it's sung really kind of, this one's one of the slowest songs I think they've ever done, kind of like a dronier song. Still really, really heavy in the way Tom's kind of singing his way in this drawn out kind of vocal style, really like sludge metally, which is just awesome. A really cool change of pace, I like it. I like to see, bands, step out of their comfort zone a little bit and try something like that. Especially if it's just like, a test to see, kind of like just maybe one or two tracks on an album instead of jumping the gun. Here's a whole album of stuff that's completely different, which other, I can go on about some other bands who've kind of done that before, but, this was cool to kind of get something different that they tried on this album that makes it, Serenity and Murder, a big standout off here. Then we go with 213, man, the melody. And I don't know what the 213 stands for either. If somebody knows in the comments, enlighten me on that, because I'm same with the SS3. Not really sure what's up with that, but 213 is one of the best tracks off here too. The hook and the melody in this one is just out of this world, and also a pretty speedier one. This really combines the speediness and the more melodic sides of some of their discography. Just blends them really, really well together, even taking the speed to another level, like I mentioned on some of these other tracks. Then we close it out with Mind Control, which has some of the coolest lyrics in it going on, talking about, it's talking about like the church, getting in your head, and just media getting in your head, and all kinds of different stuff like that. And then, just a straight up mind control. Really, really, really cool way to close out this album. It's a blast from front to freaking back of just Paul Bostaph. What a way to, really jump into it. I know he was in, again, that band Forbidden, which is on my list to be checking out and listening to, as I've never done it, listened to him before. But this is really the album that, hey, Paul, this is a big time gig for you. And I think he showed up because, man, just absolutely blows me away in this album. Everybody was on their game on this album. I've seen kind of online some, people not really dig this album, even rank it really, really low. And to me, that kind of shocks me, because I don't think it's too much of a, I don't think it strays too far away from, a lot of the previous albums, even though it does have some kind of different kind of vibes to it. My uncle and I were talking about it, and he said it has like a clean heaviness to it, and I thought that was a really cool way to describe that, and I totally agree with him there. There is like a clean production, yet really, really freaking heavy. But, it is opinion based, so if people do, don't like this album or rank it, I would love to hear why. And maybe hear your thoughts on it, or if you're a freaking huge fan of this album like I am, your thoughts on that, and maybe and why you guys love this one or hate it, and what tracks did it for you, what tracks didn't do it for you, your thoughts on Paul Bostaph. I would love to talk about this. Is a really interesting album to talk about for Slayer. A lot of cool stuff to talk about there, and again, those songs with numbers in them like SS3 and 213. Don't know what's up with them, but if you guys know, I'd love to hear it. And of course, next time we're going to be looking at a cover album that is Undisputed Attitude, 1995. It's a cover album with one actual, Slayer song that they put on there that is an original. So that'll be fun to look at. I've not listened to that album quite some time. I do remember quite some big highlights off there and everything. But we'll be taking a peek at that one next time. So I'm pretty hyped to be looking at that. Undisputed Attitude, 1995, just 1 year after this, and the second go for Paul Bostaph. So these guys now in the mid 90s, now that they've kind of established again, like, oh, Paul's in the band, let's just keep starting to pump out some albums again. So yeah, next time, Undisputed Attitude is what we're going to be looking at. And yeah, just like, subscribe, comment, and let's get some conversation about this thing down there. Thanks.